So basically, there's been a new glitch in Breath of the Wild that allows us to transmutate or print new items. This was found by the efforts of PowerGaymerKai and GTAPanda. PowerGaymerKai found a way to basically do this. And I will explain how this works. So, we can transmutate items. What does this mean? We can basically make one item into another. You need specific conditions for this to work. You need 2 items that you have on a relatively low count. In my case here, this will be wood and Farosh scales. I want to transmutate 5 wood into 5 Farosh scales. So, the way this works is you want to put the item that you want to transmutate to, that you want to create more of, onto the ground. So I'm going to put those Farosh scales, those 4 Farosh scales, onto the ground. The next step is then to overload my menu. Menu overloading is a glitch that has been done multiple times in Breath of the Wild for different uses. I'm going to explain it anyway. You want multiple multi-shot bows, ideally triple shot or 5-shot bows. I have a lot of Lionel bows here that I'm going to be using for this. And you want shock arrows. You want these shock arrows to be equipped on your bow. And then pull out your bow so that Link holds it in his hand. I'm doing this at this stable for multiple reasons. Some areas it's easier to overload the game in than others. This is a good one. And we also need this area for other reasons regarding the glitch. But again, I'm going to be holding the bow. So I only want to tap the bow button, not hold it. So Link holds out the bow with the shock arrow equipped. And then I'm going to be starting the menu overloading. The way that's done is I'm going to pause the game and basically drop one of my multi-shot bows onto the ground. And then while I'm still in the menu, I'm going to equip another multi-shot bow. The next step has to be quick. Whenever you leave the menu in this setup, you don't want to waste much time. So I'm just going to unpause the game by pressing B. And then pause the game immediately again by pressing plus, the pause button. And then you repeat this. We're going to drop one of the bows, equip another, B plus. Drop one of the bows, equip another, B plus. Drop one of the bows, equip another, B plus. And now the menu is overloaded. You can tell by Link's head basically just floating around here in the menu. It's just his head, right? What we are going to do next is we are going to be holding the item that we are using for transmutation. Again, keep in mind, this item you need at a low count because you are going to have to get rid of it entirely for this glitch to work. And you'll see what that means. In my case, I have 6 wood here, and I'm going to press the X button to hold an item, start holding an item, and then press A 5 times to hold 5 pieces of wood, and then press B to leave the menu. I'm then going to pick up my bows again to get rid of the menu overloading. And in the last step, I'm going to be selling the last piece of wood that I still have in my inventory. So I'm going to talk to Beetle, look what I have. I'm going to sell that last piece of wood. What this does is it removes the reference that the game has to the wood material by selling the last piece of it. And now I go back to the item I want to basically print, that I want to transmutate to, in my case the Farosh scale. I'm going to pick this up. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have all of the Farosh scales back in my inventory. And when I now pause the game, you can see Link is still holding an item. You can see Link is in the item holding stance, right? Originally, the item that he was holding there was the wood that we made him hold in the overloaded menu state. Remember, we held 5 of our wood pieces there. When we now press X again to stop holding, instead we are going to have 9 Farosh scales. So what happened here is by us removing the reference to the piece, to the wood material, when we picked up that Farosh scale, it was considered as a new item and the game made that reference to the Farosh scale instead. So now we have 9 Farosh scales. The reason I'm doing this here, I'm just going to repeat this quickly, is because in this area we can get wood really quickly. So now I'm going to place all of the Farosh scales on the ground again. The maximum items you can place on the ground, by the way, is 10, and I will tell you a little workaround around this in a little bit. But I'm going to place the 9 Farosh scales on the ground now. Actually, I won't, because I'm kind of scared that they disappear. So at first, I'm going to get more wood. I want 6 pieces of wood again. 5 to hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 because the last one I want to sell again to remove that reference I was talking about. So now I'm going to place all of my Farosh scales onto the ground again. 5, and then another 4. So now 9 of them are on the ground. Remember, 9. Then I'm going to overload the menu again. This time I'm going to do it quickly because I already explained it. It's taking a bit to overload this time. Not sure why. Okay, I might have to redo this. Sometimes menu overloading can be a little bit finicky. Doing this again. Menu is overloaded. You can see Link's head is just floating around in the menu. I'm going to go to Beetle. Sorry, never mind. I almost forgot. I'm going to hold the wood pieces again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Press B. Pick up my bows again. Sell the last piece of wood to Beetle. Nope, I don't want to give him one of my beetles. He gets really angry. Look what I've got. Going to sell my last piece of wood to remove the reference that we had to the wood material. Pick up the Farosh scales. Press plus. Link is holding 5 items, originally wood, but by now pressing X to stop holding. It is Farosh scales. And now I have 14 Farosh scales. But this is where a problem arises. I'm going to save the game here. And you will see why. When you now place Farosh scales onto the ground, as soon as you place 11 Farosh scales onto the ground, one of them will disappear. Look right now. You saw one of them disappear, right? So the most amount of Farosh scales that we can have on the ground is 10. This is where a very unique tech comes into play that I'm going to explain once, but don't worry about it. For now, just keep in mind that basically the most you can get with this glitch too is 15. But if you want to learn this additional tech, there is a way to get around this, and this is called the floating item glitch. You can make items into kind of like a floating ball, and that will basically bypass that 10 item limit, right? If I can actually cut down this wood, that would be great. I want to get 6 pieces again, so I'm ready for this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make 5 of these Farosh scales into a floating item ball. The way you do this is by equipping the camera, then opening the camera and immediately pausing. And then once the game is paused, holding 5 Farosh scales, and then pressing B to unpause, and then really quickly A and pause again. This places the item and pauses the game again. Then you need to hold another item. It didn't work here because the items actually sit on the ground. This is how you can tell that you failed. We're going to do it again. This time it worked. You can see basically this ball of Farosh scales flying towards the ceiling. Don't worry about them yet. You can get them back and I will show you how. But what you want to do now is you want to place your remaining 8 Farosh scales onto the ground. And then, same shenanigans. You will overload your menu by doing the same technique that we used before. Menu is overloaded. Then we are going to hold our pieces of wood that we just got back. Then we are going to get our bows back. And we are going to talk to Beetle. Not give him a beetle. Make sure that we can sell our reference to the wood material. All of the wood pieces. And then we are going to pick up the scales again. Press pause. Stop holding the item. We now once again have 13 Farosh scales. Now we just need to get our ball of floating scales back. One way to do this is using a metal object, for example this bow. And this is where it gets annoying and finicky, but I just wanted to show you this technically does work. Is you kind of want to push the item ball, right? And it actually did work here. It's on the ground now. Now we can pick up that ball of items, press B, and they become items again. This way you can bypass the item restriction, and now we basically have 18 Farosh scales. This works with everything at the moment other than fairies, because fairies fly away when you put them onto the ground, when you basically create that new reference. But this works with giant ancient cores, with star fragments, with dragon parts, and we are definitely working on making this even more useful. But for now, this is basically how you can transmutate any useless item into a more useful item, and hence basically duplicate items. Because there's so much wood in the world, you can easily make a bunch of giant ancient cores, or easily make a bunch of dragon parts, star fragments, anything that would be more rare. This is very important and very big for people like me that are currently working on getting 999 of each item. And will probably be used a lot, at least in those specific circumstances, or even in speedruns like 100%. If you have any questions, make sure to ask them. But this is the explanation for now. Big shoutouts to PowerGaymerKai and also GTAPanda for figuring this out more. And thank you guys for watching.